Hello to all of you unconventional conventionists out there. This week on Rocky Talkie, we are beyond excited to introduce you to this week's special guest host.
This week, we are going to be joined on air by RKO's original asshole, Fred Moreau, who has been a member of our Shadowcasting community for 25 years and counting. Hi, Fred.
Hello.
Hello. All right, Fred, before our full-length episode drops on Thursday, we're doing the thing. We'd love to give ourselves and our listeners a chance to learn about you and your time within our community. So we've put together a little Q&A sesh for you. Are you ready to get grilled?
Surely.
Great. So the first question that we ask all of our guests, we'd love to hear about your Rocky Horror origin story. When did you see the movie and the Shadowcast for the first time? And what was that experience like for you?
And yeah, once you got your Rocky cherry popped, how did you become a cast member? What made you decide that this was the thing you wanted to be doing with your weekends for fucking ever?
All right, so you guys are going to think I'm making this story up, but it is true. So I used to work next door to a theater, and we would work late nights in the food service industry, and, you know, we get off a shift and like, let's go do something. So my buddy Rocky that I used to work with said, hey, let's go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So my origin story is actually Rocky taking me to see Rocky.
I can't tell if I hate or love that for you.
I think I love it, right? I think so.
Right?
So Rocky took you to see Rocky, eh? All right. Go on.
Yep. And so we walk in, and I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what this was about. Everybody's screaming at the movie. There must have been at least 150 people there that night. And, you know, this toilet paper being thrown, this squirt guns, playing cards. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I can't even hear the movie. Like, I don't even know what this is about. I can't hear the movie. I'm like, whatever. And so I walked out just confused. I was like, what the hell was that? Didn't make any sense at all to me. And I was like, oh, I'm never going back. Well, you know, then 2 weeks goes by, and it's like, well, we had a rough shift at work. It's like, what do you want to do? Well, Rocky's going to see Rocky. Well, I'll just tag along with Rocky to Rocky. So went to see it again, knew a couple of callbacks, and that kind of started things for me, where I started to go more regularly because it was literally right next door to where I worked.
Matter of convenience, eh?
Matter of convenience.
Imagine going to Rocky Horror out of convenience. Couldn't be us. Could not.
And to add more convenience, there was a Stop and Shop across the street from the theater. So we'd go over there first, stock up on toilet paper, and they got used to us. And then we'd go over to the theater. So it was kind of like a thing for a while. Like, oh, here comes the crowd. What the hell are all these people doing? There's a line of 10 people buying toilet paper at midnight, just before the store closed. It was great.
Oh, that must be a nightmare for the guy who's restocking, right? I just restocked
poor
it.
restocker.
Oh, so how long was it before you joined a cast after that?
It was probably like a couple of years, and it just kind of happened organically. So you're going to also think I'm making this story up, but it is true. So how did I decide to become a cast member? I was told. So I was standing outside the theater after a couple of years and was hanging out with a couple of friends, and we were kind of doing our thing. And come to find out, the cast director's boyfriend, who is this 6'7" house of a guy, walks outside, picks me up physically, throws me over his shoulder, walks me into the theater lobby, plops me down in front of the cast director, who is all of 5 feet tall. You know, so I'm looking down at her, I'm looking up at her boyfriend, and she goes, I want you to be my Brad.
Surprise!
If only it were that easy to get Brads.
So I look over to my left, and I see this giant mountain of a man who's just kind of crossing his arms looking at me. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so that's how I got involved in actually doing the show. I was literally carried into it.
I love that. That's it's a little bit more forceful. I don't know if that would fly today, but I don't know, John. Have you picked up any cast members lately?
Probably about 3.
I don't mean picking up like that, John.
Oh, then probably like 0.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right, Fred. So now you're on as a cast member. You're performing. You're living it up. We want to hear about your absolute favorite performance.
Okay, so this one was a tough one. I really had to think long and hard about it. But my absolute favorite performance is when things did not go right. So I believe it was the second time that we were going to be doing shock treatment as RKO, and we had everybody cast. All the costumes are ready. I am always a Farley in our shock treatment productions. I've done Farley at least a dozen, if not 2 dozen times. And so, okay, so I'm prepared. I'm emotionally ready. I got all my stuff lined up. Everything's going to be great. We're ready for the show. No Brad. So, right. It's like, well, where's Brad? Nowhere to be seen. Can't get a hold of him. Can't find him anywhere. Okay, now what the hell are we going to do here? So we had a skeleton, and we were like, okay, well, we'll use the skeleton for some of the scenes. And I've seen the movie enough, I can kind of fake my way through most of the Brad scenes, which, okay, well, yeah, Brad and Farley typically aren't on stage at the same time, so this can work. And there's a scene or two where maybe the timing's a little bit tight, so we'll just use the skeleton. So, we're doing things like we're looking for Brad. We're not looking for Trade. We're looking for Brad. And my cast member, I think it was Ray Mitchell, takes the skeleton, hums it across the stage. It lands right in the wheelchair, almost like we had planned this, and, just wheels it across the stage. Hey, I'm looking for Brad. I'm looking for Trey. So, show's going awesome up to that point. We get to the end, dual duet.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. So one of the cast members, they're like, okay, we got the skeleton. We got the skeleton. They're looking over at me. I got the skeleton, right? I'm like, no, I got this. So I have my Brad glasses from my Rocky Horror costume. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to do the whole thing. And it would not have worked if we had casted it or scripted it or planned it. But I don't know how the hell I did it, but I nailed it. Every single change, next verse, switch, glasses on, glasses off. Half the cast is on the floor laughing their ass off. Half the audience is on their feet screaming bloody murder, like, because they're loving this. And so I get through it. We get done. Okay. Freeze frame, standing ovation.
Oh,
And it was just amazing. It was just amazing.
that's fantastic. That's one of those like happy accidents you can't even plan for.
No, and if we had planned it, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have slapped like it did.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Shock treatment. What a mess that show is.
It's a beautiful
thank you
mess.
so much for noticing.
Does this bird belong to you?
Yeah, it does belong to me.
Sure shit don't belong to me. So, Fred, one last question before we close out. We would love to hear about the best way being a part of the Rocky community has affected your real life.
Real life. Well, I mean, I had to think long and hard about this one too. Long story short, I am tremendously shy by default nature. The type of person you invite them to a party and they just go and want to talk to a plant. They just hide in a corner. They just aren't really like social. They just have trouble talking to people. Socially awkward, really hard to relate to people sometimes. Have a lot of difficulty expressing myself, not sticking my foot in my mouth. Doing Rocky has completely changed me for the best. It's made me communicate better. It's helped me break out of my shell. It's really changed my mindset. And even though every day is a struggle on some level, I find it has been an amazing experience for me, just breaking me out of my comfort zone and preparing me for anything. So something goes wrong at work, well, hey, I'm used to prancing around stage in my underwear. This is nothing. So it's been an amazing experience, and it's really helped me in my work life too. Just you have to present to management or something. Guess what? This is easy. At least we don't need to worry about my fishnets tearing.
It's so true. It's so true. And I mean, we hear that a lot, right? That's a lot of, Rocky really does help with that. It helps, get people out there, get people involved, get people talking, to people that they wouldn't otherwise. They'd just be, as you said, having a conversation with a credenza. So I love it. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So, Fred, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We've really loved getting to know you, and we can't wait to have you on this Thursday's episode. Before we go, though, are you or your cast doing anything really cool that you'd like to tell our listeners about? I can't even think of what it might be. Something in August, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe something in August. I mean, maybe the 47th convention, RKO Con 4. We hope to see everybody there. We're going to have a lot of parties. We're going to have a lot of content. We're packing 3 full days worth of content here, so we're pretty psyched about it.
I'm busy, sorry.
Oh, bummer.
Too bad you're doing stuff.
Amazing. And of course, if any of our listeners are interested in checking out Fred's work, we've got it all linked for you in our show notes.
Fred, thanks again for joining us. If you want to hear more from all three of us, be sure to tune in to this week's episode of the Rocky Talkie podcast, where you're going to hear all the latest news and updates from the Rocky Horror community.
We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.